So I got this email to my newsletter titled My First Recession. I think it's a blog post by somebody. And judging by the title, My First Recession, obviously that person didn't go through the 2008 recession. So probably a pretty young person. I went through 2008 recession myself, and I was at the age of 26. So yeah, during my prime time in my 20s, late 20s, that's when the recession hit. I remember it being really tough. I had to drop everything I was doing and basically just drastically change my life and do something else because of the recession. And in the midst of all that, I told myself that I will never do capital gains investment because it felt like it was like when the bubble popped and everything started coming down, all the prices. I didn't think it was worth it, so I told myself I'm gonna just stick to cash flow investing, and that's what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life. I told myself I'll never get into that difficult financial situation ever again. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna just read the blog post and then react to it and see what it is. Let's see. Alright, here we go. My first recession, dated January 25th. So that's only like about 1 week ago. Alright, let's see what he says. There's an entire generation going through a recession for the first time. Sure, everyone says we need to adapt, and while true, I think the phenomenon in itself, going through a recession for the first time, is a key paradigm shift for all of us first-timers. I'll try capturing some of it here through my personal experience. Personal experience is always good to hear. I was a 1-year-old when the dot-com bubble burst. So that was about 2000. So he's like 22, he's in his early 20s. So pretty much similar as what I went through. He's probably like a couple years younger, hitting the recession, because I hit mine when I was 26. Okay, so to be honest, I don't remember much about those times, of course. I was just a kid wanting the latest Hot Wheels of that time, happily enjoying my innocence and being sad when my parents couldn't afford it. But I do remember the stories. I remember my parents struggling, mad about some bankers that suddenly disappeared with everyone's money, and others losing everything a decade later. I mean, yeah, 2000 was bad, but like 2008 recession, the one I went through, he's probably going to talk about it here, I guess. A decade later, I moved to San Francisco, a city known for its creative, ambitious people. It shaped almost everything about me, especially my perspective on startups. What I didn't know... Okay, so he skipped it. Right, so what's he talking about? Is he just going to skip the 2008 recession, which was worse than 2000? Anyways. Oh, maybe... Oh, here. I was 9. Oh, when he's referring Great Recession here, I think that's when... okay, fine. That's the 2008. Yeah, like I said, that was a big one. And he calls it Great Recession. I didn't even know that was a thing, that people are calling it Great Recession. Great Depression would be in the early 1900s, so this is what people call it now. What I didn't know was that 2018 to 2022, San Francisco was pretty unprecedented, a time of infinite abundance. I agree. Like, everything ripped during this time, especially pandemic being in here. So just starting from the pandemic and just before the inflation kicked in, that was like golden times in terms of all capital, all assets, prices going up, everybody getting richer. And being early in my career, I wasn't... So this guy is working in San Francisco, probably a techie. I wasn't thinking about why there was such abundance. I just focused on trying to run faster, leveraging what I could. Oh, already sounding really bad. Never leverage, guys. Never. Especially when times are good. Maybe I'd read here and there that zero interest rates lead to assets like technology being overvalued, but no one seemed to care, so why would I? I kept running, increasingly used to playing a game that knew nothing about scarcity. The funny thing is that almost everyone gets used to whatever rules of their time. It's the logical thing to do to leverage market opportunities. The difference, however, is that while I was running the same race, I had no perspective on how it could change. Emotionally, I had no idea what was ahead. Very classic case, right? You're winning, you leverage more, you get greedier, you pull money, invest more, pull money, invest more. That's it. And then you become the last fool at just before the drop, and then when drop happens, you're just like left with dust. And even worse, now you've got to pay the debt as well if you leveraged. Start March 2022, so that's about 1 year ago, and the Fed increases rates for the first time since 2018. It was the first time I had read news about anything like this. I studied how recessions work, but I had never seen it happen live. Seeing it play out felt different. I knew what people were talking about, but didn't yet understand it. Before I knew it, the rules had changed. Seemingly out of nowhere, everyone started playing a new kind of game. Yeah, of course. This is what's called the market regime. Like, there's the usual ups and downs in the, let's say, stock market. I hate to use stock market as an example all the time, but like, let's say there's a price up and down, but ignoring the small changes in the short term, only focusing on the longer movements, long-term movements, the big movements. When you zoom out of your charts, you will start to see times of appreciation, times of depreciation. Like, those big periods are called market regimes. And when market regimes change, that's when all the hedge funds get triggered, and they go into like risk on, meaning they're like aggressively investing and trying to make, they're being greedy. And then when they turn that off and switch off to risk off, then the whole behavior and the price movements, everything just changes completely. And if you are not used to that, and if you're seeing that for the first time, all of a sudden you've got all your assets at the top price that you bought, because I don't know, you've been like dollar cost averaging, or buying the dip, whatever it is that you were doing to when you were greedy, and the market suddenly changes. Then you just look at the chart. You wake up in the morning, you look at the chart, you see the market already dropped, and you're left with awe. You're like, what do I do? Do I sell? But I've lost too much money already. Like, I can't sell now. That means I'm admitting that I'm defeated. And people usually freeze when that happens. The real good investors, if they became greedy and they somehow bought at the top, they admit that they made a mistake, and they just suck it up, and they close their positions and get out with some loss. But beginners can't stand that. They can't stand that. They almost feel like it's almost like taking exams at schools. They feel like there's always that right answer, and they just didn't get the right answer. And they feel like they should be, if they study hard enough, if they hold long enough, somehow they're gonna get it right. Just like some question on an exam. This is how people are trained when they go through schools. But it's not like that in the markets. The transition was intense. It had taken me years to adjust to San Francisco. The pace of the city and the drive of my peers were inspiring but also daunting. I trained myself to survive first and how to win second. By the time I thought I was getting pretty good at it, the world shifted. People started saying the bubble was starting to burst, and for a while everything felt monotonous. Motionless. So many of us were lost in trying to figure out how to move forward. We were on this race. Were we now supposed to change speeds? And in what direction? Uncertainty was at its highest. This is exactly what I was talking about. You just, as a beginner, you just kind of freeze. You don't know what to do. I was trying to make sense of a world that was changing in unknown directions. The only thing I knew was that this new world's driving force seemed to be different from those before. So it was pretty clear I had to adapt, but I was trying to figure out how. The 12 months that followed were very uncomfortable. It was a process of self-inspection, trying to figure out all the wrong knowledge that led me to where I was today, but which I knew was outdated for years ahead. For better or worse, at least he's learning and he's trying to adapt. Not many people are able. I mean, he works in San Francisco, so he's probably a smart kid. For better or worse, our attention through the last few years was fixated on all the things that come out of abundance. Our role models were starting to feel off. A lack of substance and hard work seemed to have infected our culture. And now that the economy was beginning to deteriorate loudly, all these things were becoming apparent. Yeah, so like all those, I don't know if he's mentioning role models and these people start to feel like they're a bit off. I'm not sure if he's meaning the YouTubers, those ones, Stephen Graham, and there's a whole bunch of other ones too. And yeah, they're probably the role models for the kids, or in the teenagers and the early 20s. And yeah, So very quickly, the spotlight started to change. People that had been in the trenches for decades, that knew what a recession felt like, were now having a louder voice, trying to warn all of us that were about to face the same fate. This shift in attention was starting to feel inspiring. Online voices play a massive role in how the newer generation turn out. We might be smart, incredibly driven, and more courageous, but our biggest weakness is that we lack perspective. It's hard to recognize how I should evolve if the spotlight never sheds light in new directions. Now it has. I feel sad for this guy. This guy sounds really intelligent. He just, you know, didn't have the right guidance. That's also one of the reasons why I'm creating this channel and have like a financial investing section. I should spend more time making more guides, videos. The spotlight was on the wrong people, the loud people, full of noise people. We grew to believe that scammers were the talent we had to learn from. Now we were starting to see some of those stories play out, and the playing field was starting to become more honest. This reminds me of that YouTuber, Meet the Kevin, or something like that. Ever since I started doing financial related videos, the YouTube algorithm started like recommending these financial gurus. Meet the Kevin. Oh man, I went through all his videos in the past. He just kept saying buy the dip, and then he gets paper handed when the market tanks. And then he's been telling his viewers to buy the dip and buy all the time. When he loses money, he gets out of it before anybody else, and then he puts out a video. Oh, by the way, guys, I exited. Yeah. This was an important reminder. There's nothing worse than thinking that hard work and consistency don't matter, that there are easier, faster way to succeed under capitalism. I'm gonna have to do a whole topic under capitalism, but this person got it perfectly right. This is right. And also this is the reason why, like, I hope I'm not a really loud person on YouTube. Like, I'm not doing a lot of clickbaits. You know, I'm not picking topics that would just draw attention all the time. And I'm not jumping a topic to topic. I just stick to one thing, and I'm just going to be consistent, because this is what I've been doing for 20 years, investing, and this is what I believe actually works for regular salary working people. As long as you're gonna be like that, like me, I'm not interested in doing startups. So as long as you're gonna be like me, then what I have to say should probably be valuable to most people out there. I think 2022 will be remembered as the year that made us wiser. It forced me to evaluate everything I thought I knew, adapting to a new environment that seemed so hostile at first, but now I'm starting to understand. I won't lie though, sometimes I am deeply scared. Again, I grew up with stories of people losing everything. What if I'm one of those? I can only hope I won't. Okay, so it sounds to me like this guy is still deep in trouble with his investments. He's still holding on to them. Maybe he deleveraged a little bit. He paid down the debt a little bit so that he can hold longer. But it seems like he's still in the trenches and holding on to his positions, which is, you know, like I said, I think he froze when sudden drop happened. He didn't know what to do, and he's just kind of holding on to them. There are certainly tough times ahead, but they are also exciting. There's something beautiful in being recession first-timers. Times like this force you to understand the kind of person you want to be to grow up. Now we got to decide if we keep the same pace, slow down, or increase it, diving deeper. This is the exact kind of reflection I had when I was hit with my recession 2008. So yeah, I feel for this guy. I mean, he's got it right, and I'm glad that this was recommended to me in my newsletter. It just kind of takes me back to what I went through in 2008 and why I decided to do the kind of investing I am doing today. I mean, I was doing the same investing back then, but there was a brief period of time when I got greedy for about like 1 year. I'll talk about that time later in another video as well. But yeah, so I've been hit hard, and you know, I've never deviated from my original plan after that. Good thing that I had a like separate portfolio, which was like my foundational portfolio that was like really less risky, with like a bunch of dividend paying stocks and bonds. Yeah, I feel for this guy. I mean, there's a lot that I especially I really want to focus on this point about the capitalism, but yeah, we'll have to see. Guys, they say that you are gonna run into a recession every decade, roughly about every 10 years or something. So given the fact that I'm like 40 now, and assuming I'm gonna live until 100, because the lifespan is getting longer and longer. I've got 6 more recessions to go. So you do the math for yourself. How many recessions do you have left to go? And you really have to just take that as part of your investing journey. You have to start thinking about that. Otherwise, you're gonna get into trouble like this guy who wrote that blog post. And so far, the best thing. Okay, so when the times are good, when the market is really good, the kind of investments that really come out strong and returning a lot of money for you, making a lot of money, would be capital gains investing. Hands down, nothing's gonna beat that. So these are like holding on to growth stocks, and holding on to, I don't know, cryptocurrency, like things that you just buy cheap and then sell high. So those things will always win. They are the best investments. But are they really, right? If you take into account the recession as well, then they just lose. What? Elon Musk, what? Let me just check. How much money did that guy lose? How much money did Elon Musk lose 2023? His net worth dropped by 127 billion dollar or euros. That's like what, 150 billion dollars, something like that. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. Like, does it mean anything? Like, if you hold on to stocks like Elon Musk, like he's probably, all his net worth is probably all the ownership of his companies, which are in stocks, shares. What's the point? You know, like it goes up and that's all bubble, and then it just comes down when the bubble crashes. So what shines during the economic expansion is the capital gains investments, and then what shines during the recession is the cash flow investments, like cash investments, the assets that make you income. So we're talking about like real estate, renting, like without not too much mortgage, obviously. Like if you want to do strong cash flow first real estate investments, you have to put down a lot for the mortgage so that you're borrowing less. You know, you got to do that. And then there's what I do in my investing. By now, you should all know it's the corporate bonds. So I invest into funds, income funds that pay me monthly dividends, and then this fund goes out and buys all the corporate bonds, meaning I'm lending money out to companies, other companies in all over Europe, diversified. So these kind of assets, because they have cash income, even though there's a recession, so you have that, you know, income, extra income, even though you're not working, and that's how you survive through recession when everybody else might be suffering a lot. So if you do, so this is what I decided to do after the 2008 recession. I said, I'm just going to stick to this and I'm not going to do anything else. The most difficult thing, if you do this kind of investing, is like letting go of your greedy temptations when the economy is good, and you come out of the recession, let's say from 2011 to 2022. So that's 11 years. For the 11 years, the market did nothing but going up. And during that time, all my friends are like, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm getting richer and richer. Just showing off, buying new cars, moving to bigger houses. Meanwhile, I'm stuck with cash flow investments that are not going up as much. Like I'm doing bonds. I'm investing into bonds, corporate bonds. Like the value of that doesn't go up at all. Like the only thing that you get is you get paid almost fixed amount of dividends every month, and then you just reinvest into it for compounding. But the actual value of the bonds that I'm holding, they don't go up. In fact, they usually just come down, and then they naturally trickle down. And for whatever reasons, maybe the fund that I'm investing into, they're doing buybacks, maybe, because it's a close-ended funds listed on stock exchanges, so they can do buybacks. And when they do buybacks, it would go up, and then it just trickles down again as they pay dividends out. You know, so meanwhile, I'm making maybe like 6%, 7% every year. All my friends are making like 20%, 30%, some of them like 100%. If you did cryptocurrency, 500%, and they're laughing, right? And do you have the, I shouldn't say do you have the guts, but like, can you withstand all that and just stick to your, you know, cash flow investments throughout all that? That's what I did. And then 6% return every year for 11 years, still big, you know. And so I've been just keep pouring money into that, and then when finally the recession hit, right, I'm not affected by recession or inflation. Like I was waiting for this moment to test out my theory, and that's exactly what happened. You know, I'm lending out money with buying the corporate bonds. The companies, if they go bankrupt, they have the responsibility to pay off the debt first before they liquidate all their assets and split the proceeds with selling their equipment or whatever, their assets, their buildings, whatever. Those proceeds get shared across the shareholders. But even before that, they liquidate and they have to pay off the debt. So in that sense, you're quite safe, right? So this is why you're able to always collect these payments from corporate bonds. So even during the recession, every single month, I get paid passive income. So this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, and hopefully, if ever I do like speculative investing, like capital gains, and I put them on this channel, because I don't have any plans to stop my channel ever. I'm just gonna keep it going even when I get old. As you can tell, I don't do fancy edits. I'm not really interested in growing in terms of number of viewers. I just do this because it's fun for me, and there's there are a few fans that I communicate with. So that's what I get excited about. But anyways, if ever I do capital gains investing speculative, that will be the day when I just have too much money coming in from passive income that I'm willing to just sacrifice, I don't know, 1%. Which I am doing right now. It's like I'm investing into Ethereum right now, £100 per month, which is like nothing. It's not even like, I would say it's like 0.01% or something like that. But surprisingly, it's a good time to. I started doing £100 per month about 4 months ago, and it's at 500 something pounds. So Ethereum recently shot up. So I'm having fun with it, but yeah, those are the kind of things that I'm going to be doing in the future if I ever do it. But the real bulk of my portfolio is always going to be fixed income, cash flow first, and if I have a lot of money, accumulated there, then I take some of it and just buy a property and then rent that out. I've got 4 now, so I'm trying to I have enough money to buy my 5th property, but yeah, interest rate is way too high in 2023, and it's not like I'm in a rush to keep on expanding my real estate. I don't really care. Park the money in corporate bonds and keep on getting paid by these companies throughout 2023. I'm fine with that. The thing about me is I'm not greedy. Like as soon as I accumulated this many properties, and my property manager and other people started pitching me the idea of refinancing the properties. Refinancing the properties and go out and buy more properties with that money. That's crazy. How people think. It's just like, no, this is. In fact, I'm looking to deleverage. So I'll be putting down way more percentage to the mortgage, and then focus on the monthly rental income. Basically, subtracting from that is going to be the mortgage payment, and because I put down more mortgage payments, monthly mortgage payments is going to be very slow. That will increase my monthly cash flow. So I'm going the other way than how other people recommended me to do. Completely opposite. Playing it safe. So 2023, no real estate purchases. Probably next year I'll do it. But yeah. So if you're in a bad situation, and if you happen to be like this person, you're young and going through this tough times for the first time, I went through the same thing. Just focus on some more safe investing. And you can check out my other videos on my YouTube channel to learn about them. There's definitely other avenues to grow your wealth other than what other YouTubers recommend you to do. So yeah, it was sad and nostalgic to read that blog post.